What if I told you the most important financial decision of your entire life isn't something you'll make years from now? It's something you're already making, today, right now, without even realizing it. You can choose to retire early, walk away from the daily grind, and finally take back control of your time. But behind that freedom, there's a quiet pressure, a constant question: will my money last? Or, you can choose a different path, work a little longer, stay in the game, and build a level of wealth where money is no longer something you think about, where your lifestyle isn't limited, your choices aren't restricted, and your future feels completely secure. And here's the truth that most people never stop to realize. This isn't a decision you make once. It's a direction you choose every single day, with every dollar you spend, every investment you ignore, and every year you delay taking it seriously. You're silently deciding whether you'll retire early or retire rich. If you're around 40, this is the moment that quietly shapes the rest of your life. Not your 20s, when mistakes are easy to recover from. Not even your early 30s, when you're still figuring things out. But right here, right now, because the next 10 to 15 years will determine something most people only think about too late: how you're going to live for the last 20, 30, even 40 years of your life. And the truth is, most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they never stop to make a clear decision. They stay stuck in the middle, saving a little, spending a little more, hoping somehow everything will just work out. But hope is not a strategy, and drifting is the fastest way to end up in a life you never actually chose. Because whether you realize it or not, you are already on a path. The only question is, where is it taking you? Let's make this simple. There are two paths most people end up taking, whether they realize it or not. The first path is the one everyone dreams about: retiring early, leaving work behind in your 50s, maybe even sooner, waking up without alarms, no deadlines, no boss, just freedom. And on the surface, it sounds like the perfect life. But what most people don't see is what comes after that decision. Because retiring early doesn't just mean freedom. It often means living on a tighter budget, saying no to things you actually want, watching your spending every single day, and quietly carrying a question in the back of your mind: what if this isn't enough? Now, there's a second path, one that fewer people talk about: retiring rich. This path looks different. You stay in the game longer. You keep building, earning, investing. Maybe you don't retire at 55, maybe at 60, or even later. But when you get there, everything changes. You're not worried about bills. You're not calculating every decision. You're not asking, can I afford this? Because money is no longer the thing controlling your life. And that's the real difference between these two paths. One gives you time, the other gives you freedom without fear. Now let's slow this down and make it real. Imagine two people, same age, same starting point, same income. Both are 40 years old today. The first person chooses early retirement. They become extremely careful with money. Every expense is planned. Every decision is calculated. They retire earlier than most. And at first, it feels like freedom. No job, no stress, no daily pressure. But then life continues. And slowly, a new kind of pressure appears. They think before every purchase. They limit travel. They avoid risks. Not because they want to, but because they have to. And somewhere deep down, there is always that quiet fear. What if I run out of money? Now let's look at the second person. They don't rush to escape work. Instead, they focus on building more income, smarter investments, better opportunities. Their life isn't about escaping the system. It's about using it. Years pass. They retire later. Yes. But something is different. There is no fear attached to their freedom. They can travel without checking balances, support their family without stress, and enjoy life without hesitation. And here's the key difference. Both are retired. But only one of them feels truly free. Because real freedom isn't just having time. It's having time without limits. At this point, you might think the choice is simple. Early retirement sounds better. Or maybe building more wealth sounds safer. But the truth is, it's not that simple. Because what you're really choosing between is not two lifestyles. It's two currencies, time and money. And both of them are limited. If you choose to retire early, you are buying time. More mornings without alarms. More years outside the system. More moments for yourself. But the cost is real. You give up some financial growth. You reduce your earning potential. And you accept a simpler financial life. Now if you choose to retire rich, you are doing the opposite. You are trading time for money. More working years. More responsibility. More pressure in the short term. But in return, you build something powerful. Financial freedom that does not depend on limits, or fear, or calculation. And here's where most people make a mistake. They assume they can avoid this trade-off completely. They try to retire early, but still live like they are building wealth aggressively. Or they try to build wealth, but still want early freedom. And in the middle of that confusion, years quietly pass. Because life always demands a choice, even when you don't make it consciously. And the longer you avoid deciding, the more control you lose over the outcome. If you're 40 right now, you are standing at a point in life that most people misunderstand. Because this is not the beginning anymore. And it's not the end either. It's the middle. And the middle is where decisions start to matter the most. In your 20s, time hides your mistakes. You can recover, restart, rebuild. In your 30s, you still have momentum. You're growing, learning, expanding. But in your 40s, something changes. Time becomes more expensive. Every year you lose is harder to recover financially. Every delayed decision compounds into something bigger later. And that's why this stage is critical. Because you are now at your peak earning potential, or very close to it. You likely have more skills than ever before, more experience than ever before, and more responsibility than ever before. This is the moment where your financial direction gets locked in. Not because it's fixed, but because your choices now carry more weight than ever. And the truth is, most people don't use this stage wisely. They maintain the same habits, the same spending patterns, the same financial mindset they had years ago. But life doesn't stay the same, and neither does time. Because from here onward, the gap between planning for the future and actually securing the future starts to grow faster than most people realize. And what you do in this phase quietly decides how the next 20 to 30 years of your life will feel. But here's something most people never hear. This is not actually a strict choice between two extremes. It's not retire early versus retire rich as separate paths. The smartest people don't pick one. They design a third way. A hybrid strategy. A path where you don't fully sacrifice time. And you don't fully sacrifice wealth either. It starts with one shift. Instead of focusing only on saving money, you focus on increasing your income first. Because at 40, saving alone is not enough anymore. You need acceleration. That means looking for higher income opportunities, better roles, side income streams, or investments that actually grow your money. Not just parking it, but multiplying it. Then comes the second part. You invest with intention. Not fear-based investing, and not reckless risk either, but a balanced approach that still allows growth. Because playing too safe at this stage is also a risk. And finally, you create something most people never build. Options. Not forced retirement, but optional retirement. A life where you don't have to stop working at a certain age, but you can stop whenever you choose. And that changes everything. Because now retirement is not an escape plan. It becomes a choice. At this point, there's something important you need to understand. Most people misunderstand what freedom actually is. They think freedom means stopping work early, lying on a beach, and never thinking about money again. But that's only one version of freedom. And for many people, it doesn't last very long. Because real freedom is not just having time. It's having control over your life, control over your choices, control over your income, and control over your future. Think about it. If you retire early, but constantly worry about expenses, that doesn't feel like freedom. That feels like pressure in a different form. And if you work longer, but you're building real wealth and removing financial stress from your future, that doesn't feel like punishment either. That feels like investment in your independence. And this is the shift most people never make in time. They chase early escape instead of long-term security. But the people who win financially, they think differently. They don't ask, "How fast can I stop working?" They ask, "How can I make sure I never feel trapped by money again?" Because once money stops controlling your decisions, everything else in life starts opening up. You don't have to say yes to stress, and you don't have to say no to opportunity. You get to choose freely, and that is the real definition of wealth. So now, we arrive at the real question. Not what sounds better, not what feels easier, but what kind of future are you actually building right now, without realizing it? Because whether you choose it or not, a direction is already being formed. Every financial decision you make today, every habit you repeat, every opportunity you ignore, is quietly shaping the next 20 to 30 years of your life. And one day, you will reach a point where time slows down, and results show up clearly. That's when people either feel peace or regret. Peace because they prepared, or regret because they waited too long. And the difference between those two outcomes is never one big decision. It's hundreds of small ones, made consistently over time. So if you're 40 right now, this is not about panic. It's about clarity. You still have time to change direction. You still have time to build something stronger. But you don't have time to ignore it anymore. Because the future you're going to live in is already being built today. And the only question left is simple. Will you reach the end of this journey and wish you started earlier, or be grateful that you finally did?